What's interesting about the Heisman Trophy and these candidates and these guys fighting for the number one player of the nation for the season and for the year is really what they do through quarters. And every season has a quarter. There's the first half a quarter, there's a second half a quarter, third, and then there's fourth at the end of the season. And Mendoza's been the most efficient out of all the players that we named. The Buckeyes, Jeremiah Smith, to me, is one of the best players in the nation, but again, this is really, the MVP usually goes to a quarterback. Last year it went to a cornerback. It doesn't usually happen like that. And again, there were quarterbacks involved last year. Gabriel was a part of the Heisman Trophy, and then obviously Cam Ward, who was the number one pick by the Titans. So it usually is a quarterback that wins the Heisman Trophy. But last year, there weren't as efficient quarterbacks as there were this year. And Sayin was sensational. It's not like Sayin is not going to get a chance to win another Heisman next year. He's a freshman. Next year he's going to be a sophomore, and he has a chance to really erupt with Jeremiah Smith, his final year over there with the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes have a great recruiting class once again, and they're going to be up to winning another national championship. And they could still win the national championship this year, as they're probably heavy favorites still to win the national championship. And if I was Indiana, I probably wouldn't have wanted to win the Big Ten title, and I would have just waited for, the national championship. If I would have had to meet the Buckeyes again, that was where I would want to beat them, because the Buckeyes they don't usually, first of all, they haven't lost a game all season long, and now you got to play them a second time in a national championship game and beat them. I think the odds are against them. And again, Mendoza's been sensational. Did Mendoza have one of those unbelievable games for the Big Ten championship? No. Again, his numbers weren't just like 350 yards. He threw 3 touchdowns. The game was 13-10, and it was won by a field goal. So it wasn't like Mendoza pulled off all the stops and he was sensational and he did what you expected a Heisman Trophy winner to do, because If you looked at the last 4 or 5 games of the tail end of the season and with Texas and what Arch Manning is doing, that's a Heisman Trophy winner. Now, Arch is not up for a Heisman this year because he started very, very slow. Texas is not making the Final 12. He's not making the tournament. So Arch is going to have a chance next year to make another run for a Heisman Trophy. And so will Sayin, who is going to be back with the Buckeyes, back with Day, and back with one of the best defenses in all of the country. But again, you look at this particular game, and what really stood out is it was the battle of the 2 best teams in the nation. Both of them are Big Ten teams. And again, both teams are expected to make that run. You talk about, and we're going to get into the college playoff, and we're going to talk about Alabama sneaking in and all these other teams and Notre Dame getting screwed. But you look at these Heisman Trophy candidates, Diego Pavia he was one of the best quarterbacks in the nation this year. He was one of Vanderbilt. He was sensational all season long. The problem is he's not an NFL quarterback. He is probably not going to be drafted. And if he is, he's going to be a walk-on for a team that's going to have him walk on, and maybe he makes a team, maybe he doesn't. We've seen a lot of players not be drafted, and they're walk-ons and become either they make the team or they play on the practice team, and then maybe they get called up. The kid, the offensive tackle that played for the Chiefs last night, who came in, I think, for Simpson. I don't know, Apulo, whatever. I don't.
Suyamata.
What?
It's Suyamata. It's going to be a hard one for you to pronounce.
No, it wasn't Mata. Was it Mata?
Okay. He was the right tackle they drafted last year.
No. It was somebody else. He was undrafted. Came in with the Chiefs last night. Go look it up. He played very well against the Texans, and he actually played for the Jets a little bit this year, and then the Jets dropped him, and the Chiefs brought him back. He was an undrafted player. I think his name's Puyo or something. I don't know. You could find out.
Asa Polier.
Polier. He came in. He actually played very well last night, and he was an undrafted player, and maybe the Chiefs found something with him. He was dropped, brought back, dropped again, and then brought back. Again, I'm not saying Pavia is not going to be a competent quarterback in the NFL. I don't know if his body structure and the way he plays is going to fit in the NFL. He reminds me of Tim Tebow. That's what he reminds me of. Obviously, a lot smaller than Tim Tebow. I think Pavia, if I'm not mistaken, he's 5'8". He's really, really small.
He's thin, too.
And he's got a good arm, but he doesn't have one of those arms like Arch Manning does or even Mendoza. So I don't think he's got the ability to or the athletic gifts that some of these guys have. And he definitely doesn't have the size to be an NFL quarterback. But he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the country all season long, as he should be on the top 5 for the Heisman. And then there's Notre Dame's running back Love, who has been one of the more explosive running backs in all of the nation. He will be in this year's draft. He could be a first-round talent. Some people think he could be a late first-round pick. I don't know if they have a running back like a Gibbs in this class where I'm going to, obviously reach and make that kind of move. But Love is going to be a guy that's going to be drafted very early in this draft, and he's an explosive player. He's probably one of the better running backs that we've seen come out of Notre Dame in the last 20 years. And I think what makes this class very interesting is that there is not a guy that really stands out that you can really choose. And everybody says it's Mendoza because of this game and winning and knocking off the Ohio State Buckeyes the way he did. He didn't really show up in the game because he didn't put up those crazy numbers. But to me, there's no sure thing in this class this year. I look at Sayin. He's a rookie. He's a freshman. The last freshman to win a Heisman, what was it? It was, if I'm not, Johnny Manziel, right?
Johnny Manziel, and then Tim Tebow was the last one before that.
So Johnny Manziel was the last one to win a Heisman as a freshman. Sayin would have had to do like a significant amount to win. And I know a lot of people, when they look at the Vegas and the voting, I didn't think Sayin had any chance of winning the Heisman Trophy this year. I really didn't. I thought it was either going to be, I definitely thought Mendoza, even if Mendoza did not show up in this game, I thought Mendoza was the heavy favorite of winning the Heisman Trophy just because of what Indiana has done all season long. Indiana should not be the number 2 in the country. Now they're number 1 because they knocked off the number 1 Ohio State Buckeyes. But I did not think that Indiana would have been a top 5 team this year and would have been really a favorite to winning a national championship. And one of the main reasons why is their coach and Fernando Mendoza, who came, honestly, Mendoza was good last year, but he came out of nowhere this year and really became a heavy favorite to be a Heisman Trophy winner with his arm strength, his ability at the end of games, making plays, big play after big play. And he's really shown himself as an elite quarterback in this class. Now, is he worth, if the Giants are sitting there at 1, is he worth a team jumping up if the Giants are willing to trade that first pick for somebody to jump up to get Mendoza? Is he worth 2 first-round draft picks or 3 first-round draft picks? I don't know. I don't know if he's worth that kind of chump change. So I look at the situation at Mendoza, and I think Mendoza, I know a lot of Jet fans want Mendoza. I've been reading all these different stories, like I give up all the draft picks that the Jets traded for when it came to Sauce Gardner to land Mendoza. I would not do that. As good as Mendoza looks and as good as he's been all season long, Mendoza, the NFL, look, Shedeur Sanders, say whatever you want. Shedeur Sanders was a competent quarterback in college football. He was competent. He was a good quarterback. And look how long it took Caleb Williams to figure things out. Are you willing to do those kind of things, to move up? Like, look, Justin Fields, if I'm not mistaken, Chicago made a trade with the Giants and moved up and traded, I think, 2 first-round
Two first-round picks that became Kadarius Toney and Evan Neal.
I'm just saying, it doesn't matter who it was.
No, I know.
Was he worth 2 first-round draft picks?
Yeah.
He wasn't. You got to be very careful on trading away your future for a quarterback you're still kind of iffy with. Now, he's got the ability. He reminds me of, and I'm going to say this, reminds me of Joe Burrow. He's a pocket-present quarterback. He has some kind of footwork outside of the pocket, but he's not a mobile quarterback. And the game has changed now. The game is completely different. You have to be a dual-threat quarterback to succeed in the league now. You really do. I mean, when you look at the guys that aren't in the league, that are in the league now, that aren't dual threats, how many have been successful? How many are successful right now? I mean, right now, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff. There aren't really a lot of quarterbacks that are in the NFL today that are not dual threats. And that's Mendoza. Mendoza, I know everybody says, well, he's got footwork, but he's not considered a mobile quarterback. So if you're a team like Vegas or the Jets or the Saints, and you're going to make a choice on who your future quarterback's going to be for the next 5 to 10 years, you got to be very sure and very careful on making a move and putting all your eggs in the Mendoza basket. And I don't care what any Jet fan says. The Jets have made enough mistakes over the years with Zach Wilson. I wouldn't say the guy over there in Seattle's a mistake, but it took Sam Darnold, it took Sam a little bit longer than usual for a quarterback to develop. Geno Smith took him a while to develop, and Geno's been up and down in his career. We could go on, and Christian Hackenberg. You have to be damn sure if you're going to jump, and I don't know where the Jets are going to end up picking. They could be fifth. It depends on how the rest of the season lands for them. They have 4 games left. There's a good chance they don't win any of those games because they're going to be starting Cook. So where will the Jets be drafting at 5, 4, 7, wherever they start to, simmer to fall into? Are the Jets willing at number 5 to move up to 1 with the Giants, or move up to 2 to jump Vegas or the Saints to land Mendoza and give up a significant type of, amount of picks to get that type of quarterback? I don't know if I would do that. So that to me is what I look at this Heisman class, and where I look at with the national championship. Mendoza has a lot of pressure on him because now a lot of people believe, after what he did and what Indiana did to the Buckeyes on national television, knocking the number 1 seed, where everybody thought the Buckeyes were going into this tournament undefeated. A lot of people thought the Buckeyes were going to be undefeated all season, all the way into the national championship because of the talent that they have. Right now, the Buckeyes are considered to have the most talent going into this class of the NFL draft. As a matter of fact, there is a prediction that 7 of their defensive and offensive players will be drafted in the first round. Wow. 7. And the Buckeyes, their class next year, their recruiting class is one of the top 3 in the nation. So, and Sayin is a freshman. He's going to be up there again for a Heisman Trophy next year if he stays healthy. So, I watch bits and pieces of the game. I watch the kicks, and again, this was really, it was a battle of defenses. And Indiana, who's been very good defensively all season long, I was impressed with the way they defended the Buckeyes. They couldn't stop Jeremiah Smith. And nobody can stop Jeremiah Smith. He's the best wide receiver we've seen come out over the last 10 years. And everybody was talking about, obviously, there was a former son of a former great player that came from the Buckeyes who went to Arizona recently. What was it, 2 years ago? Yeah. And really hasn't really amounted to anything, and maybe he's with the wrong team. Maybe he gets traded in the future. But Jeremiah Smith is a better prospect than he is. Mm-hmm. So think about this. If you look at the prospects and the wide receiving talent that have come out of the Ohio State Buckeyes over the years, Garrett Wilson with the New York Jets, you could go on and on and on. They're saying that this guy is the best one out of all of them. So I don't think anybody in the country can stop this guy, and you saw it on national television. And you're going to need Jeremiah Smith in this tournament, because if Jeremiah Smith cannot put up significant numbers against these elite defenses, it's going to be a very short tournament for the Ohio State Buckeyes.